President Biden will be in Florida today to survey damage caused by Hurricane Ian. And Nancy Cordes is standing by at the White House with more on what we can expect from that trip. Hey, Nancy, good morning. Love the green, by the way.
I noticed yours as well.
Yeah. So let us start with just, the basics here. What are we expecting from this trip? What's the president going to be doing?
Well, the president is really going to what was the epicenter of this storm, the bullseye on the coast, Fort Myers, Florida. This is a part of the state where residents have said that their neighborhoods now look like a war zone or apocalyptic. And he is going to have the opportunity today to observe that kind of destruction up close. He is going to fly there this morning with the First Lady. He's going to land in Fort Myers. He's going to take a helicopter tour first. Then he's going to meet with federal, state, and local officials, basically get a briefing about what the recovery efforts look like right now, what lies in store for this area. That's where he'll meet with the governor, Ron DeSantis, this highly anticipated meeting between two men who have not always seen eye to eye. And then he's going to meet with local residents and business owners and talk to them about what they've been experiencing in the aftermath of this storm. And then he heads back to Washington, D.C. this evening. So it's really been a busy week of surveying damage, not just in Florida, but in Puerto Rico earlier in the week as the nation was hit by these 1-2 terrible storms.
So I remember when he went to Puerto Rico, there was an official there that said, listen, I hope that this isn't just a photo op. I hope there's more to it. With the trip to Florida, is there more to it than just a photo op? Could we be hearing about more disaster funding or where that funding might be going?
Well, the president and the Biden administration have already committed billions of dollars worth of rebuilding funds to the state. And the president has repeatedly said if the state needs more, the administration will be there. In fact, Governor DeSantis himself has repeatedly praised the assistance that the state is getting from the federal government. And President Biden will be there with the FEMA director today. So if there is more that Florida needs, the posture from this White House, particularly 1 month before an election, has been Florida will get it.
So you talked about the highly anticipated meeting between Governor DeSantis and Biden. We know that the governor has been very critical of the president, but not about this. Not about this at all. In fact, he's sort of given the president credit for how quickly the administration has jumped in. How important is it for both of these two men to show that there is a sense of bipartisanship when the citizens of Florida are in need?
Look, this was a tragedy, and I think if either man was not able to rise above politics in this moment, it would speak incredibly poorly about both of them right before a midterm election or at any time, frankly. And so both sides have said that these issues that have divided them in the past, whether it's the vaccine or masking, President Biden a couple of weeks ago basically called out Governor DeSantis as being bad for democracy. DeSantis said that Anthony Fauci, the president's medical director, should be thrown in the Potomac. I mean, this is, this is sort of an ugly narrative, but I would be very surprised if any of that surfaced today. These are two men who've made it very clear that they are committed to making sure that that Florida recovers from this storm in the best way possible. Do I think that we'll see a hug the way that we saw President Obama hugging, let's say, Charlie Crist, or even some say Chris Christie after Hurricane Sandy? Probably not, but I do think that you'll see a lot of respect from both men today because they realize how important this is to all Floridians.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.